All right, guys. Out here in the woods. I'm wearing the same shirt I did last time I was in the woods, which is kind of crazy. It's actually a very different day. I've since done an entire load of laundry and come back out wearing this shirt. So I don't really know what that means about the cycles of coming into the woods and, what my laundry patterns have to do with that. But rest assured, it's a different day and I'm wearing the same shirt. Today's video, I want to talk about owning your own truth and what it means to actually listen to your own intuition in 2025, the craziest year of our lives. We got fucking supervillains in office. We got electric car companies. We got fucking cryptocurrency. We got AI. What are we supposed to do? How the fuck do we fall into this mix? Humans, the ones who are actually supposed to matter in this circumstance. So, we are unequivocally living inside of some kind of dream. It's a weird construction of consciousness, and it's undisputable that whatever we live in is not fully explainable. I equate it to a dream because when I go to sleep and I dream, I'm very convinced that that dream is real until I wake up. And when I wake up, I look around me and recognize that, oh, now I'm awake. And once again, I'm convinced that the world around me is real. And the great teachers of time, the Buddha, Jesus Christ, Allah, they all talk about this sort of inner worship and how the temple of God is within, and also to detach from reality, the Buddhist samsara, right? Because the attachment to reality is considered suffering. And in the Christian religion, the temple is within, because the way I see it is our spirit is the actual eternal peace here. And the world around us is a learning ground, a playground, a testing ground for our spirits. And it's fucking amazing when you look at it that way. And the crazy part is we all forget this, not just me, not just you. We always forget that we're only here for a limited period of time. And it's actually one of the most important reminders. There's a whole area of Hinduism dedicated to meditating on death and just looking at visions of decaying bodies and skulls and skeletons, because they know that that's the ultimate way to attain freedom. And where does this tie in with owning your own truth? Well, especially in the day and age of so much information exchange, so much public vulnerability when it comes to social media, when it comes to presenting yourself in any kind of way, knowing things can be recorded, things can always be checked in on. We're in an age where authenticity is hard to come by, and it's also hard to cultivate. It's hard to actually listen to your inner voice because the voices outside are becoming larger in number and louder in amplitude. It's hard to not listen to the voices around, telling you what's real, telling you what's not, and telling you how you should live your life. And I've fallen super victim to this. In fact, I referenced this in my last video, but a large part of my healing journey was actually basically relinquishing all of my previous values, the ways I saw the world, the entire schema that I had built about what I believed to be true. I completely threw that out the window and adopted the visions of the world that were around me that allowed me to cling on to something real. And in that moment, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because when you're coming from a place of addiction, depression, anxiety, you can't get out of bed, you can't look someone in the eyes, it doesn't matter what kind of ideology you approach at that point and decide to adopt, because ultimately the reality is any ideology that can help you is going to be better than the one that you're currently working with. And so that's what I did. I threw everything out the window and attached myself to some different kind of worldviews, which enabled me to actually get some traction and get to where I am now, which is I'm eternally grateful for. But the ultimate reality there is that you need to be able to recognize when you're operating within the game and when you're actually acting on your own free will, your own intuition, your own sort of compass. Because what happens is the longer you play the game and the longer you become entrenched in the proverbial matrix. I hate the word matrix. I think it's really dumb. It's a fucking movie. Think of something better. Call it samsara. Whatever it is, the longer you become entrenched in the value systems of this samsaric world, the more you forget that inner compass. And for those who have been in this cycle for a very long time, you've forgotten how to actually hear your own desires and intuition. And then when you do hear them, it's actually so much harder to honor them and to follow them. And that is more or less by design. I mean, the system wants you to fall into place, and it wants you to become the perfect piece or cog in the machine. Now, obviously, there's a lot of nuance here, and I don't think that it's black and white, that if you have a job or you work within sort of the conventional structures of society, that you're inherently working within the matrix. I think ultimately, as I referenced earlier, the whole difference lies with what's inside and how you're perceiving and orienting yourself in the world. That's my constant purpose here, is I'm always trying to reorient myself in a way that brings me closer to my own truth and that brings me closer to authenticity, honesty, a purity of my heart, and a feeling of lightness and joy. And that's a hard pursuit. It's not easy unless you're already coming from that place. But when you're coming from dark places, you're going to take wrong turns constantly. And the important part here is that you can't blame yourself for not knowing what your inner compass says or not listening to it all the time. That's part of the process. Unfortunately, you got to learn what your inner compass isn't in order to learn what your inner compass is sometimes. So if you've taken a really bad turn and you just feel dread every moment you wake up, you don't feel like yourself, you feel isolated and alone, just know that it's not actually you. It's your environment and just where you've landed. And that's okay, because that's always changeable, right? It's never the inner that's the problem. It's recognizing how your inner is relating with your external. And there's work to be done on both fronts, right? The more that we can step away from the narratives that have been imprinted on us, the better we can tune ourselves to the frequency of our intuitive knowing of the world. And this is my approach. I think the intuition is the greatest gift that we have. It's not always correct, but it does leave you, when you follow your intuition, it does leave you with a feeling of honoring yourself as opposed to being manipulated by some external force. It's a much cleaner feeling. Even when things don't work out the same that you thought they would, you will always be thankful that you at least honored what you thought was right in the moment, right? And so what I urge you to do is remember today that we are all living in a dream, and it's actually very temporary. And the longer that you spend in the dream, the more convinced you are that it isn't temporary. We know this when we're born, and we know this when we're close to death, and we know this through small moments in our lives, moments that really peek us out on the strangeness of the human experience. Remember that the ultimate truth is we are in this physical incarnation for a small period of time, and your spirit is the thing that continues on. Your purpose here, from my lens, your purpose here is to enable your spirit to fully explore what it wants to explore. And the systems that are currently in place are designed to prevent that from happening, or at least stifle it in some way. So the more you can recognize how the system is stifling your inner knowing, the better you can counteract that and take steps in a different direction to feel your spirit light up, to feel your life light up, and to actually move in a direction of true meaning and true purpose. A direction where when you land on your deathbed, you will know that you did the thing that your soul wanted you to do. And that's it. Love you guys.